Okay, this should be a little better, and I need to sneeze now. Sorry. Sorry about that. All right. So a little bit of a later start, not as bad as Monday, but still, I don't know, could be better. So I got a couple of feelings about this one. I suspect I'm probably just going to have to say this over the course of the playthrough itself. Sorry, I gotta sneeze again. Don't know what got into me. Sorry about that. So one of the things that hasn't quite worked for me, I wound up talking quite a bit about a levitate spell based off of something that somebody said inside of chat. And I went through the manual again. There's no mention of it. However, I did notice online there was a reference to it in a subsequent Quest for Glory game. But, the fact of the matter is that the expectation for the stream has always been no backseating. And where I try to be accommodating for it and give people the benefit of the doubt, I have noticed the past three Quest for Glory streams in a row involve basically providing information about the game, and that really doesn't work for me. Now, the drawback here is that I actually think it might even be something that could be isolated to a single source. So it's one of these ones where I also want to build up. It's actually been quite rare for for the channel to have like just sort of blanket coverage of people sort of respecting the first playthrough without commenting on things that prevent me from being able to have the experience myself. So like normally what it is it's going to be just little groups of people, different people going through. So the real drawback here is that the ultimate effect, unfortunately, and this has been true for the last 3 sessions, I want to play the game less as a result of it. But one of the things I'm really conscious about here is that most people who've been in this have actually just been enjoying the process of watching the game. And so the problem here is like this is one of the reasons why I struggle so much with backseating and variations on it, is that it's enough for one person to ruin it for everyone. And I don't like the idea of people who just want to sit and enjoy the stream, having to deal with me turning off the broadcast or, any of these other things because of the bad behavior of one individual. So honestly, I think the best way to handle it, and I always hate it, like it always means people unfollow the channel because of this stuff. But I think in this case here, it's just going to have to be like, there's no leniency. And all I can just say on this is that like having been on the moderator side of channels, having been on the broadcaster side of channels, I don't think I've ever really held on to, oh yeah, this person's like saying, how to play the game. I'm gonna, hello Pandora Carp, how you doing? I've never said that as like, oh yeah, they did that one time, 2 months ago. I'm mad at them now. It's usually within minutes that, everything's good again. But I also know whenever that stuff happens, people get, oh yeah, no, it's basically backseating. Because like the challenge is that uniquely for this game, or actually for the stream, most people have been pretty relaxed about it and have just enjoyed the ride. But the last 3 episodes have usually involved some kind of piece of information outside of the game being communicated. And it's always the same account. So again, I try to be relaxed about it, but every time I'm relaxed, it always winds up being, like the problem never solves itself. It always gets worse from that. And again, I'm there's no good solution to this, as I was sort of saying before. Like the actual experience behind the microphone here is, it's like you tell someone to stop doing it. Maybe you'll even be annoyed when you say that. No, it's not you, Pandora Carp. Don't worry about it. I would say so. um, but, you know, it's like you tell someone to stop doing it. Maybe you'll even be annoyed when you say that. No, no, it's not you, Pandora Carp. Don't worry about it. I would say so. 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 that's not, please don't take it that way. I can say, like, if it happens, I'll say it. It's, I don't, I particularly hate passive aggressive approaches to that. Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah, I was gonna say this is one of the reasons. Like, so even like starting the first 5 minutes. I mean, it's nice to be able to do a little bit of warm up and chatting with all of you. Um, but yeah, like the thing is that like I've enjoyed playing this game less the last 3 sessions, so that's not good for the stream. That's not good for me. And again, for my experience, like I don't think about it like even 2 minutes after the thing. But again, having been a moderator, having been a streamer, it never stays at the, at the one interaction. Someone has to talk back. Someone needs to announce that they're never coming back. Somebody needs to like litigate as to what counts as backseating. It never can just be the one, the one, hey, my bad, right? And so it always winds up where they're like, there's a drop in the follower count, or like somebody, causes a scene in the chat, and it makes it worse than it has to be. So, but like, I don't know. It's, I guess the thing is that I keep learning this lesson over and over again when I say, it's like, hey, you know what? I like Quest for Glory. And I'm not liking Quest for Glory the last few ones, and I know why, and it's just because I want to avoid that unfortunate encounter. So anyways, all of that to say is that the best I can do is telegraph it, and I can say that I've tried to make it work and it's not working for me, and ultimately I'm the one paying for it. And I think the biggest thing that I can just say is that even if I wanted to be like mean about it and just say, you know what, I'm doing this for fun. I want this to be fun for me, and that's why I'm putting this rule. And I actually don't think it would be unreasonable to say that. But because I think it is better to be constructive about these things, I just feel that having been a little more chill about it before, I feel I should at least say up front, this was a mistake on my part. I should have just called it for what it was at the time and said that we don't do that here. And then hopefully we could move on. So if nothing else, all the rest of you can just sit and wait and see the draw, because I think a couple of you know who it is. But anyway, sorry to start off on a negative that way. But in terms of shows that I'm watching, I finished The Day of the Jackal. I really like that. Doing frantic chat GPT requests. How do I get ripped like Eddie Redmayne? Followed by, holy crap, I'm not doing all that. Sorry. Get the display capture back up. There we go. I will confess, I have not actually seen the original adaptation of it. I've seen like one really famous scene from it where he's like testing the gun with a melon. They completely shot for shot recreate that in the TV show. But it's a good one. I was actually going to say, ever since the Phantom Liberty stream, I watched a couple of shows with a friend, and I never intended it this way, but there's like this weird pattern for there's a weird pattern for the shows that we watch, which is like almost every single one of them involves some sort of like spy angle to it one way or another. That sounds like a book. It is actually a book. So there have been 3 adaptations and an original book. It's actually really frustrating to hear about the creation of the original book. So the original book is about a plot to assassinate Charles de Gaulle by a sort of an Algerian I don't want to say insurgent group's the wrong one, but effectively somebody who takes issue with the with sort of I want to be careful how I say this too, but like France giving up its colonial possessions, I don't quite think is the right thing. Sorry, I'm just noticing something. Curious. Sorry, I'm just going to need a quick minute to check something here. Hmm. Okay. But yeah, so that was the original book, and apparently the story for this goes. It's a the author's name is Friedrich Forsyth. I believe that was his first fiction book, and apparently he wrote it because he was broke, and it was supposedly done very, very quickly. It's a little bit like finding out that James Cameron wrote Aliens and Rambo First Blood Part 2 like on a short turnaround at the same time. Uh so anyway, so it's quite a successful book. It's and then it was adapted into a feature film. I think my dad's a really big. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The if you didn't know the James Cameron thing, that is 100% a thing that happened. He obviously wrote and directed Aliens, but his version of the event was that he had two desks, and he would sit down and he'd like bang out his pages for Aliens, and then he'd go to the other desk and he'd work on Rambo First Blood Part 2. And that was his, and like I don't know, it was like 60 days to do both or something like that. I mean, okay, here's the thing. I like James Cameron is a phenomenally talented filmmaker. Particularly around the time he was making those statements, one might say he had a bit of an ego. Definitely not unearned, right? Like he is a talented guy, and not every, like talented people do not always possess the moral qualities that you want. I think he's also chilled out a lot. um I think a lot of his like bad behavior on set, he now attributes to a certain degree maybe of insecurity in terms of being at the helm of something and maybe not necessarily being taken as seriously. But even like in some of the Aliens documentaries, you can see him being pretty cutting to some of his crew members about the special effects shots. But anyways, like, so all of that in mind, right? The point here isn't to litigate James Cameron. I think he is a genuinely interesting filmmaker. I think he's a supremely talented filmmaker. I have not actually seen the Avatar sequels yet. I want to, um, but like I beyond the quirks of not having seen the Avatar sequels, like I would, it's almost like the Civilization games for me. Like I, even if they're not well reviewed, I kind of have to try them for myself to decide how I feel about them. So, um, but with all of that in mind, right? Like I sort of know how James Cameron talks at various periods of his career. And so, there, it doesn't hurt to kind of consider the source when you hear stories like that. It's kind of like when you hear about, sorry, I realize I'm taking a long time to get into the game, but I think you you hear these stories about solo devs who just did it all for themselves, and yeah, you're not the one responsible for derailing my gaming. Um, but like the actual story is that there's like supportive family, or they have some sort of domestic partner who has like a day job, and that's sort of financially supporting them. There's any number of things where we always like to sort of hear the auteur story. We always like to hear, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's flattering to the individual. And so they don't necessarily have the incentives to be honest about it. Because let's be honest, right? Like, I, I'm sure one day I will write this article, but I have a belief that like basically successful streamers and a lot of successful game developers are basically losers, because, you know, if you, and this is the trick, right? Like you need to define loser. And in this case, I would just define it as someone who does not have sort of conventional opportunities in the form of like a career or dependency. So, if you're like single and you've got a minimum wage employer, at a certain age, people are going to call you a loser for that. Like obviously, if you're like a teenager, that's fine. If you're like 35 and that's all you've known, I'm not saying, this is not me saying that that is your actual status, but in terms of a larger perception, like these are the sorts of figures that are like, made fun of in, movies, rightly or wrongly, right? And so there's something kind of, in my view, there's something actually kind of important about that. And like, obviously it's a provocative way of phrasing these things. But the best example I would give you would be Total Biscuit, right? So I think most people who will hear that name will specifically think about him as a very successful gaming YouTuber and probably Twitch streamer. Somebody who's got like a voice pack in StarCraft, it's got an emote in the chat. And I believe prior to his streaming career, he worked in insurance in London. And I don't know the specific circumstances, but I believe he started streaming around the time of the global financial crisis, around 2007, 2008. And so my belief here is that for a number of people in like, quote unquote, the city, it's like John who couldn't hack it in insurance, whereas a whole bunch of, gamers see him as like Total Biscuit. Oh my God, I wish I was that guy. So I don't think it's a coincidence that streaming became a big thing during, particularly video game streaming, became a big thing during the global financial crisis. You've got a lot of people who are, freshly out of work. You've got people with less disposable income. And so, if you don't have a whole lot of options, why not, spend some time playing some games, and why not broadcast it? And of course, you have that nice match of people supplying content and people consuming content. And then eventually, those channels grow and you see the rise of these things. Now, if it's not like you are seeing somebody making 6 or 7 figures in finance turning around saying, you know what, I've got a pretty good life here, right? I've got, my house is paid off. I'm making good money. I'm going to use my leisure time and I'm going to go broadcast to people, right? Usually those people spend even more time going into that work, right? The work that they do, the marginal hour that they spend on their career or their, whatever line of effort it is, that is just paying them more. So they'd be insane to say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to give this all up and take a roll of the dice on a streaming career. Well, this is a funny thing, Pandora Carp, because like whether or not it's rags to riches, like I don't necessarily think these people are like, destitute or whatever, but it's more the idea that like there is one of the things that I don't think it's a necessary condition, but I do think it helps, is that you see a lot of people who do not necessarily have more attractive options. And I think it largely just comes down to the question where if you have more attractive options, unless it's one of those things, and I think people like to imagine that they have this feeling more than others. I've deceived myself into feeling this about some subjects, but like there is the idea of I genuinely cannot see myself doing anything else, kind of career or activity that you're doing. And like what I'm trying to say is there's like the feeling of that, and sometimes that can just be you haven't known anything else. And there is the rare individual where it's like, somebody who's a writer, right? Like writing doesn't exactly pay well right now. I mean, there are a few writers who obviously do very well for themselves, but a lot of writers, even historically, have supported themselves through day jobs. And, a lot of the people who are writing sort of more I don't want to say popular literary work, but like more literary fiction, very often are teaching at a university and they are writing at the same time. So, um, it's, and again, I'm not trying to say, like obviously we need to kind of collectively decide as a society what we value and where we put all of these things, so on and so forth. But like, um, the idea of those rare people who say like, even if there's like $0 in this, I cannot support myself writing. There are definitely a few people who are so compelled one way or another to write that they will do it. And, again, I'm not even going to say they'll find a way. I'm sure there are some people who have that feeling and, have to keep food on the table, keep a roof over their heads, and I don't know, maybe we never see their written works or whatever. Sorry, AO. Oh, sorry, you were talking about this before, and I missed out. But anyway, yeah, I think I've made the point. But that's largely the thing that I mean. Like, if you define loser as somebody with like fewer outside options. Yes, sorry, this did come up before, and I'd forgotten. First of all, it's not as mean as it originally sounds. And second of all, I do actually think there's something there. Now, again, just to be clear, there are also people who are just quite successful at a number of things. So like, for instance, Chaucer was a civil servant. I don't know if that was a particularly exalted role in his time, but like, he is, kind of feels like he's kind of considered the father of English literature. I don't know if that's correct or not, but like, he certainly seems to be a candidate. So it seems to be like a guy with a successful day job who also wrote, works that stand the test of time. Shakespeare, right? Definitely considered, if not the finest, at least one of the finest writers in the English language, and found tremendous popular success with his plays. So I'm, not trying to suggest that you are, it has to be one or the other. But again, particularly in terms of like game development and like streaming and things like that, particularly now, like the odds are definitely stacked against you. And so I just don't really see someone who has viable alternatives being you being sufficiently committed to seeing the project through. But what I can see is someone almost like the main character of Cultist Simulator, particularly driven by a goal that maybe the broader society doesn't appreciate, maybe will never appreciate, to do the big thing, the great work. And again, until they become successful, we call these people losers. It's really just it is the success that largely causes the change in perception. And frankly, I mean, just to be clear, right? Like, I like using the term loser because it draws people's attention. But the thing here is that, like, I have more sympathy for the loser, right? I don't necessarily think you should be defining yourself by other people's opinions of you. I don't mean that you want to be completely... I think I know who you're talking about. I think I see his broadcasts recommended on YouTube, and it is actually the first channel I've said, please stop showing me content from this channel. But I see your point. Where was it going with this? Again, any of these broad statements are ones that you can easily have difficulty with. So like, I don't think people should completely ignore other people's feelings about them. Shame can be a useful mechanism sometime. If you do something shameful, you probably want to be, you probably want to correct. It doesn't feel good, but I prefer it to the alternative of people who never feel bad about the bad things that they do. But on the other hand, I also know public shaming is a mode of attack for people that isn't a productive feeling. So, all right. Having completely gone around and round in circles, I think I'm ready to continue the quest. So I think it is fair to say that I'm not ready for this material here. Shouldn't I have some, like, troll beard? I don't know if there's something I should be making out of the fact that it keeps saying drip, drip, drip. I'm going to try something here. I'm not going to feel good about it, but... That's funny. It bounced right off. You seem to have scared the Antwerp with your behavior. I didn't get any points for that. Fascinating. I do feel a little bad about it, so... Well, now I've gone and done it. There is actually a point where it comes and kills me. I think this is actually the wrong place for me to be. Yeah, because if I go left, I get back to the bandit camp. So, all right, well, we'll fight. That is a bandit. Ah! Really bad at the dodging. Yeah, so this is, I will say, the idea of adding a, there's something kind of fun about this. I actually was talking with a friend at the local game dev collective. I quite like the addition of the, oh, another one of these. All right. Oops. I quite like the idea of adding in some role-playing elements to these like adventure games, but takes a little getting used to, let's say. No, sorry, I think I was going to talk about the overall plan for today. So I think I had tried detect. So like the biggest thing that I can imagine right now, I tried killing the troll and the minotaur. Took 2 days to do it. Generally turned out the way I was expecting, but then I wind up in this bandit. I wind up in this like bandit area, which is I think there was a real chance that I had gotten myself into an unrecoverable, almost like cul-de-sac in the game. Now I'm gonna have to deal with it at some point. Like I don't 100% know what my solution to all that's going to be, but I did have sort of a set of other things that I could do, and I figured that that's probably a better one for me to follow through. And part of this is to talk to the Hermit, so that, because Erasmus told me that the Hermit so first of all, there's a couple of indicators that I have in terms of the Hermit being here. One, when I cast Open, it opens the door and there's somebody who drops their H's. So we know that there's a door here. Looks like there's a door here, and there is a door here. Erasmus has told me that there's a hermit that lives here. More importantly, that this hermit has the spell that I need to be able to play that wizard. Oh God, I don't think it was called Magic Eye or something, or Mage's Maze or something along those lines. So the problem here is I don't have a clear idea on how to get up here. If I try and climb, as we've done many times, the rocks are too slick from the spray of the waterfall for your limited climbing skill. So maybe there is a way to climb it and I just don't have the stats, but one way or the other, that's not going to work. A river plunges for more than 100 feet down the face of the cliff. You see slick vertical cliff walls. A doorway has been built into the side of the cliff. The door is built into the face of the mountains. You suspect the person who lives behind it treasures privacy. It's a large door. It must open pretty wide. Well, that's the question. So, I mean, anytime I've had to do climb in this game, I've failed at it. So, and again, for a while, I was looking for a levitate spell, but the manual doesn't say there's a levitate spell. And more importantly, if, as we talked about at the beginning, if people let me play the game, I wouldn't have even had the idea of a levitate spell. So maybe that is actually a solution, but I will dismiss it from my, my mind, because one, it's not something I would have been thinking anyway. And number two, I have reason to believe that it doesn't exist, basically. So it's possible that there is an opportunity for me to get a ladder. It's possibly there is a levitate potion. There may be any number of things that I need to get in the game, but the one thing I will say is the game has not yet indicated to me that any of these things exist, let alone are options here. The one thing that I tried as a lark, and I thought it was really interesting in terms of the way that the game phrased it, I said, I tried to do detect magic, and it said something about it not working at this time. I mean, that's a really weird way of phrasing a spell not working. So it's a bit of a flyer, right? Like, this may be a complete disappointment, but I mean, one, the Hermit's got to get here somewhere, right? And two, I think it would be nice to get a bit of confirmation that, this thing isn't properly working. Right. That spell doesn't seem to work at this time. So. What time is it? Mid-afternoon. Okay. I mean, beyond the weird phrasing of that line, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I guess there's like online guides. I presumably could have consulted one of those, but like that is not an obvious solution to me, at least. Hermit only takes visitors between 2 and 4. All right. You knock 3 times. A voice from inside says, "Just a minute, just a minute. Please move away from the door." "Oh, hello. Go on in." "Hello, how are you? Have we met before?" "I'm Henry the Hermit, that's me. Me father was an hermit, and me mother was an hermit, so's I come by me job rightly." Maybe I should really lean into this and offend every single English person watching. "Don't have too many visitors. Hermits don't, you know. Part of the job description. I likes to see a new face, though." Good to hear another speaking besides myself. So's, what can I do for you?" The hermit has all the amenities, including running water. You see the shaggiest little man you think it's a man anyway, you've ever seen. How you doing, Birdie Lala? A single candle sits upon a table. "Every hermit ought to have a few urns around, says I." It's the hermit's staff. He needs a large staff to help him record his memoirs for posterity. It's a relic from India, a snake charmer's basket. You see a cot. It's a round chair. It's an ancient Egyptian pot from the tomb of Anon-Ha. A place to keep grain for the hermit's ale. Henry always keeps a good supply of coal on hand. Don't they mean and? The fire is down to a set of dimly glowing coals. The remains of a Navajo ceremonial bridal pot. Oh, hello. Ah, there's the swinging, rocking cave entrance. "I'm Henry. Henry the Eighth, I is. My father was an Henry, and his father was an Henry, and his father was an Henry, and his father was an Henry. And his father was an Henry, and his father was an Henry, and his father was an Henry. Every one of them was an hermit. An hermit is one what lives alone, far away from them what talks too much or asks too many questions. Hermits are shy, quiet types what don't say much. My brother Harry hardly says a word in a year. My sister Hortense hasn't spoken since she were 6. Never talks at all. Yes, we hermits knows how to keep a mouth shut." "Well, it's dark and damp and the waters roars, so there's not a moment's quiet. The ceiling drips and the walls are slimy and it's always cold. But, oh well, says I, it's home. Me family lives pretty far apart from each other. We're all hermits, you know. This here what's called the Flying Falls. I've done some flying falls around here myself. That porch gets slippery sometimes. I knows some magic. Erasmus the wizard taught me some spells. He's what put a spell on me ladder so's the brigands don't get up. Them what climbs the rocks and gets a door opening in their nose. He's my friend, Infernus. Powerful wizard he is. I hear his house is something to see up north. I don't make it out much, and he's pretty busy, so's I don't see him too often. But when we do get together, you can be sure we have fun. He loves to play his games, he do. Fenris is Erasmus familiar, or is that the other way around? Erasmus' favorite game is the Mage's Maze. Have to be a magic user to play it, though. Erasmus is awful good at it. The spells what I knows is pretty simple, maybe, but I like 'em. I can make me ladder show up, and me door close, and even get rid of pests using the trigger spell, you see. Trigger spell, you say? It's the spell what sets off other spells. Like when you wants to see the ladder, you cast a trigger, and there you have it, large as life. Of course, you got to have a spell on the invisible ladder that makes it visible first, but it has its uses. I think's I have a scroll with the spell if you be knowing some magic, that is. If you're wanting to learn the spell, I'll be pleased to share it with you. It's just getting molded in me hiding place. You don't, do you want it? Yes? Let's see, how does Erasmus do it? Oh yes! He summons it with a trigger. Here goes. There he has it. The scroll vanishes even as you read the magical runes upon it. You now have the knowledge to cast a trigger spell. What about the brigands? Nasty sorts they is. I see them sneaking around the woods all the times. Other than the warlock, I has nothing to do with them. Hello, Valiant Cheese. He's not so bad. Got a good sense of humor, he has. I get the giggles just to think of him. He's come by at times to chat. Borrowed the mirror what I borrowed from Erasmus he did. Aha! Tell me more about this mirror. Magic mirror of reflection it was. If you use it when a nasty spell was cast at you, was what sent it back to the other one was cast it. Do unto others, I says. Alright, that's all I got, but I definitely got the thing I needed. If you ever be needing a place to stay in the night and you're in the area, I could be willing to put you up for the night for summer rations and a couple of games of cribbage. I mean, maybe I should try it? How are we for time? Sunset approaches. So at some point I want to make it out to Erasmus, like to play the Mage's Maze. I guess I was originally thinking that I would get the sort of the dazzle to... Trying to practice the dodging a bit, but I'm no good at it. Okay, I need to make sure I don't die now. So yeah, actually there's a couple things I want to do. I want to spend a night in the inn. I kind of want to do each resting place because I've spent too much time in Arana's piece. Yeah, let's give it a try. I am good at video games. You knock 3 times, a voice from inside says, "Just a minute! Just a minute! Please move away from the door." Oh, hello. Go on in. Come in, come in. Good to see you again. It's kind of tiresome sitting here and thinking by myself all the time. Tell me about cribbage. I likes to play the game. I can show you how to play if you likes. What about sleep? Me guest bed is the straw in the corner over there. You're welcome to stay if you share some rations and play some cribbage. Those aren't rations. Try sleeping on the bed or on the floor. This chair just doesn't make it. The cave is cold and clammy, and it smells like mildew and wet dog hair in here. The walls are covered with phosphorescent fungus. The fungus glows eerily in the cave's dim light. My guest bed is the straw in the corner over there. You're welcome to stay the night since you've shared your rations. When you want to sleep, just say so. What about the game of cribbage? I actually don't see the straw in the corner. No! Kind of wanted to see what happens if I just stand away. Well, nobody here, I guess. Your figure remains still and silent. Had you been healthier, you probably could have survived that fall. In your weakened condition, however, you have succumbed to your injuries. I guess I lose all that dodging that I did, but fair enough. Apparently, not enough time has passed for... I really don't know what to do with myself. Could stand around and just like wait for enemies, but that doesn't seem like a very exciting way to play. Well, that's new. Huh. Oh, hang on. Can't do much with that. I can rest. After having traded a ration, which the hermit promptly swallowed, and spending a rather boring hour of cribbage and listening to Henry chatter, you hit the hay. Unfortunately, since the fungus on the walls shines at night so the room doesn't get dark, and the fact that the hermit talks most of the night, you only get 5 hours rest. Just standing in the right place and giving him the ration. You awake as the sun begins to rise. Alright, so I didn't get any points for that. You know, I realize this is a little cheesy to do, but I think I'm just gonna... Given that I, wasted so much of the day to do that interaction with Henry, I would feel slightly better if I, did something in Spielberg. What I think I'll maybe try first is to go to the goblin camp. Sorry, just bear with me a second here. I had my notes somewhere here. Here we go. I don't know, any Apple users in here? I know Valiant Cheese is like a huge Mac fan, but any of the rest of you use Mac OS? I tried switching to liquid glass because it occurred to me that basically all of the icons and all, if I had my choice, I would never change the style for any any of the OS stuff that I was working with. But oh, hang on, if I leave it too late, then I'm just not going to be able to go into Spielberg. But I don't know, we can have a little fighting. So yeah, I was like, you know what, I'll get more accustomed to liquid glass the more that I use it. But the drawback is because I have been trained to I really have been trained to respond to the color and shape of the icons. I do make obvious mistakes when looking for stuff like my notes. So I don't really mind it though. It's a question. It's like most things. Honestly, I've been in an office when they switch between versions of Windows, and you'd think the world was coming to an end. People get really worked up about changes in the interface. How many of these are there? All right, that's a good day's work. You find the 4 silvers tucked in his tunic. He has no use for the silvers anymore, so into your pocket they go. It's your lucky day. This was the big winner in last night's poker game. You take his 35 silvers. You find 5 silvers concealed in a pouch. You take the silvers. That's not good for my health. Something tells me I'm not going to be able to make it back to Spielberg. Holy crap. Open sesame. All right, well, Arana's piece it is. So I was expecting a little bit more with the Hermit, and then finding out that the Warlock has the mirror does make me wonder. Like, originally I had a plan of playing the playing the game and then finding the mirror in Erasmus's sort of castle. That may not actually be something that can happen. I don't know if this is a smart idea, but I have met Erasmus. Yeah, that was what kind of alerted me to the existence of the Hermit and why I would get a trigger spell from him. So at the very least here, I can... the sweet, juicy fruit of the tree is amazingly satisfying and refreshing. Right, so we're gonna sleep all night. Yeah, so like the logic that I had, so like it was clear that there was a door there. It wasn't clear to me how to get there. And apparently the door opens at, the ladder is detectable at only certain times of the day. So it's, I don't know, it's a little metagamey, but I guess like that's how that puzzle's designed, is that it's quite notable that it says this spell doesn't work at this time. And it's like, okay, so it's not telling me I couldn't cast it. It's telling me that I couldn't cast it at that moment. So that's why I went back and tried it. Now, I was expecting a little bit more. So like the original progression that I sort of thought was that Erasmus mentioned the reflecting mirror, and like there's that prophecy, you know, that involves like driving Baba Yaga away. I know Baba Yaga is going to turn me into a frog next time I visit. So I think it's pretty obvious there that I want the mirror in order to be able to, you know, in order to deal with her. Now, what I thought I was originally going to have to do is beat Mage's Maze to get the, is it like Glamour or whatever? Anyways, the blinding spell. Because from there, I figured I would be able to blind the dragon that teleports me out of the castle. But now, having talked with Enri, it's clear that the warlock has it. So now I need to find the warlock. The last resort had been to try that cave with the troll, because it turns out I'm strong enough to be able to take those on. But that seemed to lead me to an encounter which, again, I don't want to say is impossible to win, but definitely one where I was worried that I had saved the game in a way that would keep me from making progress. By the way, Cheese, I did want to take a minute to thank you for the fact that you're avoiding asking certain questions, because the problem is last time I played this, I'm in that area and someone's like, oh, this is late game, and it's like, okay, great, I suppose maybe it's nice that I'm not wasting a bunch of time in the level, but it's like, I guess I'm not allowed to have the experience everybody else had of this game and figure stuff out on my own because somebody wants to just really let me know they know how this game works. Like, I am aware most of the people watching Quest for Glory have already played Quest for Glory to completion. So yeah, where I can, I'm trying not to bring that guilty knowledge into the game, but it's hard, right? If somebody says something, no, you didn't. That's why I'm saying this, Valiant Cheese. I actually appreciate the fact that I know you know this game very well, and that you've kept it to yourself. It's something I really appreciate, because there's basically been 3 sessions in a row where that's happened, and it just makes me feel not great. It does diminish my enthusiasm for the game, which is a shame, because I actually think this is very good. Notwithstanding my just sort of brushing up in weird ways against sort of old school game decisions. But yeah, so all that it was to try and yeah. Well, no, and that's the big thing. I mean, okay, for those of you who don't know, Valiant Cheese is actually a game designer. So he's probably also worked on some things that you have if you're watching Quest for Glory, you've probably played and like. I can leave it for Cheese to say. I mean, if you want, I can just talk about your resume, but I also have a feeling that probably I'll leave out some of the stuff you're most proud of. But yeah, so the thing is that Cheese of all people is probably going to know that most of the things of what make games interesting is not this constant upward trajectory in terms of just a player making progress. I mean, I guess there's some players who do that, right? I'm assuming there's probably a player who there's probably a player who basically wants easy mode, but it says hard in the menu, and that they never die, they just kill everything and just feel really, really powerful, right? I don't doubt that there are people who do that, but when you think of a game like RimWorld, which is very specifically calibrated to give you these moments where it's really tough, and then you come and build back even stronger, and you can see it on the graph in terms of how all of that works. For the most part, one, that's what makes games interesting, and then number two, from a broadcasting point of view, it's incredibly boring to just go through the motions and be like, hi everyone, I'm going to click this button, then I'm going to click this button, then I'm going to click this button, then I'm going to click this button, and okay, we won the game. See you next week, right? As Cheese says, oh god, I got to run away from the brigand, and then of course I'm faced with many bows, right? That's not a good moment to be in if I haven't saved in a while, but it's a moment we can remember. And again, I guess the thing is that I don't think people in the 90s were that much smarter than me, right? Like, there's a bit of a learning curve in terms of what, like, the logic is. Like, so a perfect example of this would be Day of the Tentacle. The, like, wash the carriage to make it rain puzzle is very, very strange. I only know of the idea that it rains when you wash your car because of Day of the Tentacle. Like, I've never heard that in any other context. But, you know, for the most part, those are pretty rare. And, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think most people get it. I think it's what generally makes streams interesting. But, you know, it only takes one person, right? So, anyway, sorry. You're all suffering because I'm ranting. Actually, you know what? It's been an hour. So I think I'm going to take a quick minute to I'm going to take a minute just to go to the bathroom and have a stretch and otherwise get myself sorted out. There won't be ads or anything like that. As soon as I tab out of the game, it gets a bit weird. But does he have that line? I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, because it's yeah, Bernard is not the one in the historic. Okay, fair enough. I actually don't remember it at all. But yeah, anyways, I will be back. I'll be back later in a few minutes, hopefully. Like I said, no muting, no ads. Get up, get a glass of water, take care of yourselves. I'm gonna like go read a book for half an hour. Hopefully this will be a short break. I'll see you all in a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry, Lord Gloom. Did I spell it that way? I meant... There we go. Fixed. All right. So yeah, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. The original sort of plan that I had... Actually, you know what? I am going to take a minute and save. The original plan put a lot more emphasis on what I might find with the Hermit. Hang on a minute. Aha! I get more chances to fight. Hostile intent is evident. You prepare for battle. Fire! Actually, that is not nearly as hard as... there's a big, ugly, dead ogre here. Search of the dead ogre's body produces no treasure. However, the treasure chest he was carrying lies beside his body. The dead ogre's huge club is too heavy for you to lift. The chest is locked. Whatever will I do? Ha ha! Oh. Your spell unlocks the ogre's chest. The dead ogre's chest contains 1 gold and 43 silver, which you take and put away. The dead ogre's chest is empty. But yeah, so this is one of the consequences where I thought that maybe that troll that I was fighting in the cave with the Antwerp might have been... well, this doesn't look encouraging. Your eyes adjust from sunlight to darkness. You examine the interior of this eerie cavern. You sense something moving off to your right. On one side of this cavern is a creature which looks like a large bear. There is also something attached to his leg. You'd better not. The bear isn't wearing a flea collar, just a locked chain. Well, clearly we want to open the... oh, never mind. You know that bears can't talk. So I'm going to assume that this is going to kill me, but... a very large bear rears up as you approach. It looks hungry and dangerous. Okay, so the obvious answer is to feed it. A sudden feeling of peace and tranquility permeates the area. This section of the cave has an eerie quality. You see a kobold resting on a ledge across from you. The strange creature is dressed in ragged clothes. It has large pale eyes. It must have spent its entire life in these caves. A large brass key hangs from a thong around the creature's neck. Some sort of food, mushrooms, sits in a pile on the stone table. It looks almost edible to a kobold. You go! You don't stay here! I don't think that's healthy for me. Fire! You retrieve the dropped key. You pick up the kobold's mushrooms and put them in your pack. Well, you know, nobody's perfect. I'm still assuming the bear is gonna maul me when I come out. I don't see the evil mushrooms. Maybe they're not evil mushrooms. Wait, really? Huh. You have made this bear very happy. It would be wise to take advantage of its current mood. Kobold's key disappears as you turn it in the lock. Huh. I was not expecting that. You have the honor of meeting the Baronet Barnard von Spielberg. We are pleased that you broke our enchantment. Perhaps our father, the Baron, will reward you should you ever visit our Yeah, this is this is very, very... Okay, I'm sure there was something leading me towards this, but I was just like, I've got a key. It obviously has a lock on it. I'll just put this together. The arrogance of the Baronet astonishes you. Perchance the kobold magic user had a reason for changing him into a bear. All right, I'll take it. I mean, we're now past the halfway point. The title's completely inappropriate. Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if there's like a pacifist way of getting... Like, if you have to get the key, presumably you can't pull it off the kobold. We need to rebear the bear. Oh, fair enough. You find 4 silver coins and carefully place them in your pouch. So yeah, I was originally heading to Erasmus, but yeah, so like, again, I completely misjudged the Hermit angle on things, and I think the progression that I had in my head was wrong in terms of the idea of finding the mirror in Erasmus's home. But like, I guess because I was like, oh yeah, there was a fight with a big enemy on the, like, to the, I guess it's technically the left of Irana's piece. I guess it depends where you're looking on the map. I've got it on the right. But yeah, I mean, I was like, oh yeah, there's a fight there. I guess I could try that now. And turns out that was actually how I saved the kid. The Baronet? Oh yeah, I put that in years ago. It is actually amusing when I keep forgetting that it's there until people... sorry, I should be reading the text. I just remember this from... last ones. But yeah, it's always kind of fun when people... I don't know, rediscover it. Maybe that's not what I mean, but... Maybe it's inappropriate for me to laugh at my own jokes. Every muscle in your body is letting you know that this is great exercise. Oh, you again. Here come your questions. What is your name? Sir Galahad the Pure. Cromwell. What is your quest? I want to be a hero. What is the meaning of life? the universe, and everything. Life is but a dream. Obviously, 42 comes from the very famous book, The Confederacy of Dunces, but that is a large purple castle. You get the impression that Erasmus might be compensating for something. So you put some deep thought into the question, eh? The wizard will see you now. Go directly up the tower. Do not dally. And of course, Deep Thought is a reference to the famous chess-playing computer Deep Blue that beat Garry Kasparov a couple of years after this game came out. On the odd chance that somebody has not read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 1, it is a wonderful book by Douglas Adams. 2, that is the source of 42. Come in and sit down. Furnace, our guest has arrived. Cheese, please. I mean, you say it's a book, but it's a bath towel, it's a radio play, it's a TV series, it's a movie, video game. Since you are a practitioner of the magical arts, you might be interested in a little game I have. Do you know the spell Open? Yes. Do you know the spell Fetch? Yes. Great. Now can you cast Flame Dart? Yes. Ah, good. Now, all you have to know is the spell Trigger. Don't suppose you know that spell, do you? Yes. Wonderful! Then you can play a game of Mage's Maze with me. You do want to play, don't you? Yes. I'll teach you the Dazzle spell if you win. Holy crap, I'm not playing all that. My God. I don't even know what character I am. You don't have a magic power potion. Oh, okay. I think I get this. The magic just isn't there. Oh yeah, so I'm out of spell juice. Too much for you? I guess you should work on your magic. Maybe next time you'll be more of a challenge. I do so enjoy playing the Mage's Maze. All right. Let's, Oh, this is... Yeah, this is not the state I want to be doing this, but... All right, let's give it a... I think I just used up all my, Okay. You have the honor of meeting the Baronet Barnard von Spielberg. We are pleased that you broke our enchantment. Perhaps our father the Baron will reward you should you ever visit our castle. The arrogance of the Baronet astonishes you. Perchance the kobold magic user had reason for changing him into a bear. Okay, so I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to get in the habit where I'll like wait a full day to do something. What I will do though, I think it's still early in the day, mid-morning, yeah. So, excuse me. I'm hoping this gives us a little more to work with. Magic. I mean, not that many, but I'm hoping that will take me through Mage's Maze. I do have the option of doing other things. Like, so for instance, I can go to the castle and, clean the stables. All right, as long as I don't cast any spells, I'll be happy. The dodging, it does nothing. Actually, the other thing that's funny is I had always thought that one of the children was the bandit leader. I mean, maybe the warlock, but I don't think there's any indication of the children always laughing. Actually, come to think of it, if it's the daughter that's still missing, that could be the reason for the cloak. But then I suppose it would invite the question why she's terrorizing the countryside. Probably get back at her brother. Okay, I'm gonna save here. Welcome to Magic Mountain. Now go home. I do appreciate a good Simpsons reference. Climb seems longer every time, but you've made it. Oh, you again. Here are your questions. What is your name? Cromwell. What is your quest? I want to be a wizard. Who put the aura around the town? Irana. And a right peaceful place she made it. Go on in. The wizard will see you now. Go directly up to the tower. Do not dally. Can I rest again? How are we for... I mean, better than before. Come in and sit down. Furnace, our guest has arrived. Cheese, please. Since you are a practitioner of the magical arts, you may be interested in a little game I have. Do you know the spell Open? Yes. Do you know the spell Fetch? Yes. Great. Now, can you cast Flame Dart? Yes! Ah, good, good. Now, all you have to know is the spell Trigger. I don't suppose you know that spell, do you? Yes. Wonderful! Then you can play a game of Mage's Maze with me. You do want to play, don't you? Yes. I'll teach you the Dazzle spell if you win. Okay. I'm going to save just so we can move past that dialogue. There was an instruction in the manual, which I can refer back to if I have to. Oh, that's not good. So something that's blocking this. Yeah, I don't have enough magic points. I'm just gonna watch what happens with the pink flame. So why did you decide to start moving? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Alright, this'll do. Alright, playing the wizard's game. First, read How to Play Mage's Maze in your famous Adventurer's Correspondence School guidebook. Erasmus's version has a few variations. I'm just gonna go with what we've got here. The maze screen consists of 2 status icons, 4 spell buttons, a maze strewn with bridges, ladders, and boulders. 2 hyperactive bugs are trying not to fall off the cliffs. The blue creature is yours, and the purple one belongs to Erasmus. The object is to encourage your bug to finish the game first. The status icons show your current magic points and the amount of time remaining on your current spell. Not so sure about the timing, but fair enough. You play the game by casting spells at the game board. If you have a mouse, simply click on the spell button that you wish to use. From the keyboard, use the left and right cursor keys to move the sword cursor to the spell button that you want and press enter to cast the spell. With the joystick, move the stick to the desired direction and press fire to cast the spell. Once you have a selected spell, the timer starts. How much time you have depends on your skill level in the chosen spell. The exception is the trigger spell, which always works and takes effect immediately. Use the fetch spell to move a bridge or ladder into position. Point the mouse at any bridge or ladder and press the left mouse button to move the object where you want it, then release the mouse button. Using keyboard or joystick, Use the open spell to remove a boulder from your bug's path. Point to the offending boulder, then click the mouse or press enter. The boulder will vanish and reappear in another random position. Use the trigger spell to change the size of your creature. Each trigger spell will change the creature to the next size, small to medium, medium to large, large to small. Only small bugs can travel through tunnels. Ah, I see where it went wrong. So I think the idea here is that this is a tunnel which is blocked by a boulder. Only medium bugs can climb ladders. Medium bugs like to eat small ones and are themselves the favorite food of large bugs. All sizes are easily distracted when food, a predator, or a friend is near. Same-sized bugs are attracted to one another. The Flame Dart spell will put a miniature sun in the maze. Use the mouse joystick or cursor keys to position it. The bugs like warmth and will be attracted to nearby heat sources. Should either bug die, a new one will appear at the top of the maze. The only thing that isn't clear to me is where the end of the maze is. And hello, Mr. On Histron. Okay. Famous Adventurers Correspondence Course. Archive.org is a wonderful resource for this. How to play Mage's Maze. The most popular entertainment among those of the magical persuasion is a game known as Mage's Maze. Each wizard has his own personally customized game environment, suiting his or her particular predilections. While each game is thus somewhat different, all known examples share certain common features. The object of Mage's Maze is to enable your game creature to reach the finish point ahead of that of your opponent. Since each creature is self-willed, often very willful, the only way to achieve this is by encouraging your creature to follow a correct route to the finish. This is done by removing obstacles, placing bridges and ladders, and otherwise providing a hospitable path, or by impeding your opponent's creature. Mage's Maze is played exclusively by casting spells. Popular spells include Trigger, Open, and Fetch. Some variations use additional spells such as Flame Dart, Zap, Darkness, and Invisibility. The Trigger spell generally activates a pre-existing shape change spell on your creature. In one popular form of the game, each creature can take on one of several sizes at any given time. Each trigger spell increases the creature size up to some limit, after which the next trigger switches to the smallest size. Of course, the creatures also interact in various ways. A larger creature may eat a smaller, or like-shaped creatures may be attracted to each other. The Open spell may be used to remove obstacles or open doors in the game environment. The mage casts Open and then concentrates on the offending obstacle. Fetch is often used to move bridges, ladders, carpets, and other useful objects around the game board. After casting the Fetch spell, the mage focuses on an object and must maintain concentration until it has been deposited in the desired location. Flame Dart is sometimes used to create an area of warmth to which the creature will be attracted. Of course, most spells affect your opponent's creature as well as your own, so caution must be applied in their use. So the only thing that wasn't obvious to me out of all of this is where the end of the maze is. So I'm just gonna... So, I mean, we had a path that we were following down here. It may be that I have to, like, shrink it down to get... Well, that, or maybe we just go out over the edge. But either way, we're going to want to restore... save... Alright. Nope. You can do it, little guy. I believe in you. Okay, now I gotta snuff it out. Oh no! Yeah, and then I get eaten. All right. It may be that I still need more mana, which would mean that I want to reload to an even later part, but let's do what we can. Yeah, and then I don't have the mana. Yeah, so you know what? No need to belabor the point. It's clear that I don't have enough mana. Too impatient to rest right now. So if I go back to 9... Okay, right. I'll rescue the ungrateful baronet. But, and actually what I'll do here is I'll really commit myself. It did also occur to me that this is, I guess I do a British kind of style. For it, but it's like German, so. You have the honor of meeting the Baronet Bernhard von Spielberg. We are pleased that you broke out of our enchantment. Perhaps our father, the Baron, will reward you should you ever visit our castle. Several times this playthrough, actually. The arrogance of the Baronet astonishes you. Perchance the Kobold magic user has a reason for changing him into a bear. Okay, so at this point, I would say I will go back to the castle. We've got a couple of things that we can do now. So one of them, obviously, is to get our reward for returning the brat. And then we can also clean the stables, because, you know, we got to get swole. Sorry, just bringing up my map again. Dodging does feel particularly useless in this, and I don't know if it's my character or just me. Alright, so if we go straight down, we should run into the centaur at some point. The centaur stops raking as you approach, and I will silently walk by. Now, what I really want to do in this adventure game is clean some stables. Come in, come in. You have been expected. Baron von Spielberg awaits you in the castle. Well, he'll just have to wait till I clean the stables, won't he? You know, I haven't actually had a freeze happen yet, so I see you're back. Do you need some work? Yes. Good. Come in here and take a rake. I don't pay you to rest. Get to work now. Okay, come on over here. The stableman hands you some coins and says, now we're 5 silvers richer. Or you're 5 silvers richer. Curious what that did for my... Not good for my magic points. What time of day is it? Mid-afternoon. Oh, okay. This is how we're gonna play now. Okay, where should I move the mouse now? Baron von Spielberg and the Baronet await you in the Great Hall. Okay, I need to know what to do now. What do I do? What button do I press? Okay, I cross my fingers. Press the win button. Which one's the win button? Oh, I can't progressive. I don't have a 386, 486. Okay. I guess we're just stuck here then. It's a shame, because like all these unsolicited times I was told to do things, there was stuff that was said in chat, but now that I'm trying to find what button to press to progress, I haven't got anything inside of chat. It's really funny how that works. So can we maybe agree that I promise I will tell chat when I want some advice. Okay, that's fine. If it gets broke, I promise I will say, hey, can you help me out? But it hasn't broken yet. Never in any of these points has it ever been broken. Words cannot express the gratitude I have towards you. You might want to grow out that mustache a little bit. You got certain connotations, my friend. Not only have you freed the Baronet from enchantment and allowed my son to return to me, but you have renewed my hope that the curse may be lifted. My son, Baronet Bernard von Spielberg, also desires to acknowledge his indebtedness. Barnard? Well, that is, I am appreciative of your efforts upon my behalf. Furthermore, I understand you have rid our valley of a dangerous kobold magic user in order to free the Baronet von Spielberg. You risked your life to single-handedly defeat the foul spellcaster. You are a true hero, and I thank you. Barnard? I'm pleased you managed to kill the kobold. I sincerely hope you will continue your valiant adventures in our land. If anyone can rid the land of the brigands, it will be you. Someday in the near future, I can envision holding a ceremony in your honor and bestowing upon you the title Hero of Spielberg. Barnard? It would be nice if someone could finally defeat the brigands and claim the title. As you leave the castle tomorrow, you will receive the reward money I long ago posted for the safe return of my son, as a token of my thanks. You will, of course, be expected to dine with us and be our guest in the castle tonight. Do you have any questions? The Baron von Spielberg looks like he was once a strong man, but sorrow has aged him greatly. The Great Hall of Spielberg Castle is not very impressive. The room is plain, with scuffed floors and grimy plastered walls. The Baronet looks his usual haughty self, although his clothes are a little neater than the last time you saw him. The couch must be a precious heirloom. Why else would the Baron keep such an uncomfortable-looking piece of furniture around? The Baron grabbed these windows on crusades to Tangiers. Behind the velvet curtains is an alcove leading to the offices of the Baron. How are you doing, Vanguard Master? The tapestry on the back wall seems to depict some great battle of the past. A wine of the rarest vintage from Racier stands ready for dinner. A roast pig waits on the sideboard to be your supper. The table is prepared for dinner. Do you have timing or what? Ask about the kobold. You're attempting to write quest dialogue. Well, look no further than this game, Vanguard Master. I think most people will agree that the writing's pretty good. I rode off in the morning with my men in search of monsters to fight. I got separated from my men when I came across the entrance to the cave. As I entered, the kobold ordered me to get out. I informed it that I was the Baronet Barnard von Spielberg and heir to the lands and all within. I ordered it to bow before me, then it cast a spell upon me, and I remember very little after that. What's it like being a bear? I would prefer not to talk about that. What's it like being a bear? I would prefer not to talk about that. What's it like being a bear? Thank you very much, Birdie Lala. I would prefer not to talk about that. Tell me about the brigands. I will soon lead the troops against the brigands and wipe them from this land. Tell me about yourself. I am Baronet Barnard von Spielberg, heir to the lands and all within. Tell me about your castle. This castle has been in the family for 2 centuries now as a gift from King Siegfried III. What about the curse? Some years back, I tried to force the ogress Baba Yaga to leave our valley, and she put a curse upon me that I should lose everything I held dear. When I lost my daughter and my son, I lost all interest in living. My land suffered because I suffered. Now, though, with the return of my son, I trust the prophecy is about to come true thanks to you. Tell me about Baba Yaga. I've attempted everything in my power to get her to go away. I fear it will take some kind of magic to be able to counteract her magic. Tell me about your daughter. My beautiful little daughter was stolen away 10 years ago by Baba Yaga's magic. She has never been found, despite all the searching that has been done for her. I thought she was lost forever, but you have renewed my hope that I will again have her beside me. Tell me about Yorick. Yorick was my court jester, a man of infinite jest. He went off to find my daughter, but alas, poor Yorick never returned. Okay, now I know who the warlock is. And this definitely lines up with the idea that the lead of the brigands is the daughter. I know very little about magic, much to my sorrow. Perhaps you should talk to the wizard Zara in town, or Erasmus on Zauberberg. Tell me about the prophecy. The prophecy states, comes a hero from the east, free the man from in the beast, bring the child from out the band, drive the cursor from the land. Okay, yeah, so bring the child from out the band is... It's gotta be the daughter at this point. You entered here from the east, and you released my son from the form of the bear. I am certain you can fulfill the rest of it and remove this dreadful curse. Tell me about yourself. I am Stefan von Spielberg, 12th Baron of Spielberg Castle. Tell me about the brigands. If I had more guards, I would wipe the brigands out myself now that I have my son at my side. It will take some time before this castle and land have recovered from my sorrow, so I still think it will take a hero to destroy the brigands. I know they have some kind of fortress at the far south of the valley. I have heard rumors that they have set up an ambush for all that approach. I mean, I wouldn't listen to rumors. It is also rumored that there is another way into their fortress, but I have no further knowledge about it. I unfortunately do. So, what's that about a reward? I have offered substantial rewards for the return of my son and my daughter, as well as for the leader and the warlock of the brigands. Who's this brigand leader? There have always been brigands around, but until the leader and the warlock showed up a few years ago, they were not much of a problem. The leader seems to be a brilliant strategist who manages each raid with little loss. Once the leader is gone, I am sure the brigands can be easily defeated. And the warlock? As if this valley hasn't been plagued with enough evil magic users, from what I have heard, his magic isn't powerful, but it is used effectively. Let's eat. A servant is awaiting you outside to show you to your quarters. We will see you at supper later. Should have tried to throw a fire dart at him. After a wonderful meal with the Baron and his son, a peaceful night's sleep in the feather-down bed, and a filling breakfast in bed, you are ready to go adventuring once more. That didn't do much for my stats. So you're back. Need some work? Good. Come in here and take a rake. And again, I can buy a potion, but I'm too cheap for that. I don't pay you to rest! Get to work! Okay, come over here. The stableman hands you some coins and says, now you're 5 silvers richer. How much time does that cost us? Mid-morning, okay. And not that much. Okay, so if I rest for an hour, yeah, we're getting there. We're at least over halfway. Um, 54 gold piece. I think I could get like the good armor now. Oh, I was meaning to give him the dispel potion. Eh. Sorry, I just need a minute to think of the best path to Erasmus. Okay. I don't know why I made a note that there is a path between those two. So if I can, I'd still like to try and go to the inn and rest the night. It also occurred to me now that I'm loaded, maybe I should give the merchant some money. Or, I mean, like, give him his treasure back, I guess, if that's possible. I think brigands tend to spend treasure, but maybe they spend it in town and support the local economy. Okay, so we're at 41. I'm just curious. So if I try and do another hour's rest. Okay, I mean, down 10's not the end of the world. Welcome to Magic Mountain. Now go home. You begin to think being eaten by a monster would be more fun than climbing this mountain. Oh, you again! Here come your questions. What is your name? Cromwell. What is your quest? Want to be a hero, want to be a wizard, to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe. I seek the Holy Grail, or I just happen to be in the neighborhood and thought I'd drop by. Want to be a hero. Who put the aura around the town? Zara, Fenris, don't know, Stefan, Irana. And a right peaceful place she made it. Go on in. The wizard will see you now. Go directly up to the tower. Do not dally. Oh, he asks you that at some point. Must be one of them procedurally generated questions. Come on in and sit down. Fenris, our guest has arrived. Cheese, please. Since you are a practitioner of the magical arts, you might be interested in a little game I have. Do you know the spell Open? Yes. Do you know the spell Fetch? Yes. Great. Now, can you cast Flame Dart? I actually did purple at random and it worked as well. I have no, I genuinely don't. I just picked purple because, you know, like royalty and all that. But good, good. Now, all you have to know is the spell Trigger. I don't suppose you know that spell, do you? Yes. Wonderful. Then you can play a game of Mage's Maze with me. You do want to play, don't you? Yes. I'll teach you the Dazzle spell if you win. All right. We're not at full mana, but we have a fighting chance here. Sacre bleu. Oh, crap. I didn't want to put it there. You know what? Rather than wait this out. Right, I gotta make a medium to go down the... Yeah, this is less clear to me why he's freaking out. Okay, so that's clearly not it. Eat it, Erasmus! Well, you seem to have beginner's luck. It only took you one game to win. Usually takes at least 500 tries for anyone less than a full wizard to defeat me. As I promised, I shall now teach you the spell known as Erasmus's Razzle Dazzle. I do so enjoy playing the Mage's Maze. All right. So I feel I have very complicated feelings about that mini game because it is actually quite enjoyable in its own way, and I'm really trying to think about how the game is improved by constraining your mana. Because, like, if, you know, I sort of get that maybe you don't want someone to just, like, you know, scream random BS go and, like, just do everything. I mean, in that case, it just kind of becomes a Twitch game. And, you know, if you do things fast enough. But if the alternative is, oh, sorry, you ran out of mana, now you're just going to sit and watch your... you know, watch the other player go to the end, like, that doesn't really feel like a good thing. Yeah, go ahead, Valentin. That's your professional opinion. Vanguard Master, take notes. He's going to make me play again if I write. Well, you know, we'll just ask about everything. I'll just give Cheese a chance to write out some thoughts. I'm a wizard of some renown. What am I, some sort of object? Am I invisible or something that you talk about me behind my back, in front of my face? Sheh, no respect. It's hard to take anyone very seriously who wears such a ridiculous hat. Is it true that a monster can't hurt you if you're carrying a torch? No. Actually, it depends on how fast you carry it. Mana is constrained, like health is maintained. There's an economy and general potion stuff at work in general. So I think I get it, like, in the... Actually, I guess I should maybe clarify. Like, I'm really just speaking generally about Mage's Maze. Like, I totally understand why in the broader game, it's the mage's most efficient way to practice spells. Oh, see, I didn't know that. Like, I mean, I'm doing this maybe I'm doing this later than expected. So I had no idea that this is actually how you can practice the magic. Um, so I guess I'd put it to you this way. Like, I see your point, but I'm still not entirely convinced that making somebody sit and wait for your, like, for the opponent to win is the right way of, like, I could see how I could personally, like, this is a me thing. My personal feeling on this is that if you have some slow, I definitely didn't forfeit running out of mana those other previous times. So I don't know if this is an EGA thing or not, but yeah, definitely in this one, it would just straight up tell me that I can't cast the spell. So it was quite literally just waiting for the AI to win, and like obviously it was taking its time. So the answer, like I want to try and take the idea that you the door button was open. So far as I can tell, there was not a button to forfeit. There, I mean, there may be one that I wasn't aware of, but the ones at the bottom, yeah. So the far left was the mana. I think the one to the right of that was move. The one to the right of that, I think, was trigger to change the size. Then fire. No, sorry, open was in the middle. Then trigger, then fire, and then there's the candle. Yeah, so like the answer I would have to this that I think kind of preserves. This is kind of fun, right? Because like again, just for reference here, I'm doing the thing that's really annoying to most experts in fields. Is I am now explaining, not explaining. I'm offering an opinion on game design to Cheese, who is very experienced at this, whereas I believe the sum total of game experience I have is in fact in the presence of Valiant Cheese. So like, there's almost certainly something I'm missing here. But of course, the way that we learn is, you know, by taking a crack at a problem and seeing where it doesn't work. So take it, the thing I always find valuable about, and the other thing too is that it's kind of neat that we get to do things like this, because like when I play strategy games, it's easy to see that process of learning as I go through it. Whereas when we're talking about a topic, or sometimes when we're playing like an adventure game, sometimes it's the dialogue, so we don't have that chance for reading. So the problem that I presented here, which again may be just, you know, a player saying is like, man, I wish the game was easier, but I don't want it to tell me that I'm turning it easier. Right. So sometimes it's just a bunch of opinions about games where it's sort of like, yeah, and you know what, like, every little girl doesn't get to grow up and become a ballerina. Like sometimes life is full of disappointment. It'd be wonderful if like 100% of the people who played Zachtronics games like love them and get to the end of them. But the fact of the matter is that if that was true, then there's the bunch of people who really like the hardcore puzzles that would be unsatisfied because, you know, there's some satisfaction you get by getting like a real like brain mangler solved. So just saying, like, my complaint may be completely unjustified, but with, you know, with that in mind, right, the proposition before us here is to say it doesn't seem all that enjoyable to be made to just sort of sit and wait out a game. So one potential solution, and this is the one that Valiant Cheese was saying on the basis of his understanding of the game I was playing. Again, we've played two different versions of this game, so there's probably, you know, we're just feeling different parts of the elephant here. But it was the idea that the game just auto fails you if you run out of mana. And of course, what he then described, which I didn't realize, was that by playing Mage's Maze, you can practice your spells, whereas what I was doing earlier in the game is just randomly casting spells. And this is actually interesting to see his point, that lots of people hate Mage's Maze. I definitely don't hate Mage's Maze. I actually think it's kind of interesting. But again, for me, the issue here was the sitting like a bump on a log while going through. So Cheese raises this interesting point. It's like, well, you know, if you did that. And by the way, this is actually a conversation I've had with another game developer. And it's the analogy they drew. This is like one of my favorite analogies that somebody's drawn, is that for those of you that have ever seen the movie Blade Runner, there's this scene where a replicant goes to meet his creator. and like they've got a 5 year lifespan or something, or maybe 7 years. Anyways, they've got a finite lifespan. It's getting near the end, and so you yeah, he's like, hey, I want more life. um, and the Tyrell's like, well, we can't give you any more life. Like we did the best we could. You got this will happen to you. He says, well, you can fix this. And it's like, well, if you do that, like, then this like super virus comes up and you'll be dead on the table. Well, then you put this little thing. It's like, well, yeah, you could do that, but then that would kill you. And like, there's this back and forth, right? And like, it's a very high level discussion about like, obviously, okay. Actually, I'm wondering. I'll just see if I can find the actual dialogue for the scene because it's I don't think it'll like make the point any better, but Blade Runner's a good movie. So, have you all seen it? Lol, that movie's for old people. See, what's actually really what's funny is I actually get to say is like I saw I saw Blade Runner on the big screen. Definitely didn't see it. I wasn't alive when Blade Runner came out, but I did watch it when they did like this restored version, which like fixed a couple of the um they like fixed a couple of the I don't know crummy shots in the old one. Anyway, yeah, so here's, according to IMDb, this is how the scene works out. It starts with Tyrell, the creator of the replicants. It's like, the facts of life. To make an alteration in the involvement of an organic life system is fatal. A coding sequence cannot be revised once it's been established. Why not? Because by the second day of incubation, any cells that have undergone reversion mutation give rise to revertant colonies, like rats leaving a sinking ship. Then the ship sinks. What about EMS3 recombination? We've already tried it. Ethyl methane sulfonate as an alkaline agent and a potent mutagen. It created a virus so lethal that the subject was dead before it even left the table. Then a repressor protein that would block the operating cells. Wouldn't obstruct replication, but it does give rise to an error in replication so that the newly formed DNA strand carries with it a mutation and you've got a virus again. But all this is academic. You were made as well as we could make you, but not to last. The light that burns twice as bright burns half as long, and you've burned so very, very brightly, Roy. Look at you. You're the prodigal son. You're quite the prize. And yeah, there's a few other lines in it, but like that was the analogy that game developers sort of gave me in terms of sort of feedback for games, and you can sort of see how this goes, right? Like when you play the game, you have your perspective as your player. You're often going to be talking about the things that matter to you. So of course here I'm going to be talking about things that are relevant to the Magic user playthrough, although in fairness Mage's Maze is only available to Magic users, so that's probably not that big of a deal in this case here. Whereas a game developer is going to need to think about all of the potential players, or at the very least the set of players that the game is intended for. Again, if I'm making Doom the Dark Ages, I'm probably not really worried about what 5-year-olds are going to think about it. And, maybe mom and dad will play it, but like, again, they're not kind of the primary audience for that. Well, actually, I guess at this point, the Doom games are probably for mom and dad. But the, it was kind of like I had this perspective of it just because usually it's the same as like if I read certain books or certain topics or things like that. Like one of the reasons why I do enjoy reading, and I particularly enjoy reading broadly, is the fact that it's a way of just getting different perspectives and ideas on things. And of course, just like there's so many people who are much um, better writers than me, so it's also just a chance to see people like do good work. Um, but to bring it back to the Mage's Maze thing, right? So Cheese raised a good point here, which is to say, it's like, well, if you did it the way you want, let's say we, did unlimited mana, the fact that you can train up your spells playing this game means that you'll just sit down and you'll spam any old spell as many times as you can, and effectively you'll get unlimited levels. And I think that's actually a very fair argument for constraint. And of course, the mana is the constraint. And of course, my response would be, it's like, okay, that is a very good point, but I don't think it solves the issue I have, which is I need to stand here and wait. And of course, we can say, well, let's just put in a failure button. But oh, that's interesting. So yeah, I do actually have a thought in terms of what my solution here would be, which is, but in any case, like, so I also think too, it's like, okay, so what if we do a fail button? Well, what it means is that I spend a whole lot of time trying to get to the end of Mage's Maze. Like I try and complete the round, and I don't make it because I don't have enough magic or whatever. And maybe I forgot to bring a mana potion, didn't think I was going to need it. So instead, what I do is, after all this time trying to get to Erasmus, all I have to show for it is an empty mana bar. Not a great feeling, right? At the very least, when Sierra just kills me off for random reasons, I have a reload button. But to me, I think probably, and again, I'm presenting this as someone who hasn't experimented with it, but a solution I would have to address the issue that Cheese raised, and I think would be an interesting way of solving that issue in Mage's Maze, would be that when you get either below a certain threshold, or let's just say 0, right? Because, sure, start with 0, and then maybe you decide, okay, we're gonna pick what the floor is for this thing. But like that at that point, you're just sort of setting a constant, right? The principle still relies. So let's just say here, once you get down to 0, there's a very slow refresh. So I think what this does is this gives you an incentive to be thoughtful about your magic use. Because if you just go and say, random nonsense go and, just do all sorts of movement or whatever, right? Then you're going to put yourself in a worse position. You're going to have to, you're not going to be able to respond to what the opponent does. You're definitely not going to be able to spam all the spells for your training, right? So like in theory, with an infinite amount of time, you can let that refresh just allow you to level up the individual spells. But it's not the like immediate fix. It's not the same problem as having infinite mana. But what it does mean is that you do impose a cost, and it's maybe not as fun to just sit and watch the opponent like make progress, but it does still give you a chance, right? You go into sort of a different mode of play where that each individual action is going to be very costly to you, that you're going to only be able to do these things sort of one at a time. And I sort of feel that you need to balance a couple things. You need to pick when you start refreshing, and then you need to pick a rate at which you are still imposing that constraint on gaining experience while still giving you a chance of completing the game. But I feel for me, that's one of the things that would allow you to make Mage's Maze feel like less of an all or nothing proposition while still respecting the constraints that Valiant Cheese mentioned. So for whatever, again, like I just wanted to share here, like this would be me thinking about constraints and how, like, I should also clarify too, I maybe should have said at the start of this, in the back of my head, I sort of imposed my own constraint, saying it's like, I basically don't want to leave the Mage's Maze screen. If I have to do that, if I have to run to town to get mana potions, if I have to do something else, then I feel like I've sort of messed up on the question of like, how do I make this mini game kind of fun? But that was the crack I was going to take at it. Now, unfortunately, there were some earlier chats that I missed while I was pontificating. So let me just see if I can bring them up in the website. Because I see what she says here about slow recharge is an interesting thought, but I didn't see the... Okay, here we go. Okay, I have opinions about how the mage is structured balanced compared to the other classes, but it's hard to have that conversation meaningfully without the context of knowing how the other classes play. Yeah, I definitely get the impression, and I think the manual just outright says playing as the fighter is the ideal way to start. Alternatively, you sit down, play it to a loss, miss the opportunity to level up your skills by playing and losing a few times before your first win. Your spell skills seem high enough that you don't necessarily benefit from a win as much as a less proficient user would benefit from a few losses. Interesting. There were a lot of quality of life features we all assume games should have today, like ending the game once you're clearly in check in Mage's Maze, but that didn't just exist back then. Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I say, this was way back in the beginning of this, but, I want to be, I don't want to be unfair to older games, right? The example I like thinking of is the original XCOM, which I think is a very good game, and it's clearly a very influential game. But I think I've never been fond of this idea that because it is so well regarded that, you're not allowed to criticize it. And like the thing is that these are games that have like 30 or 40 years, sometimes even more, like depending on the games you're talking about, of game development experience. And I guess for me, I just don't believe that like game developers haven't learned things in those intervening decades. So, I realize that a lot of people talk about, XCOM Enemy Unknown as this like legendary game because you'd like step off the gangplank and like a shot would come out of nowhere and kill your guy in one shot. That doesn't strike me as very fun, right? Like, I haven't like rage quit XCOM for that, but it's like, this doesn't feel good. And I sort of feel like the surprise of that wears off pretty quickly and you are just left with frustration. But my favorite example of this is the fact that the AI is like designed to play to win. So that if you have like a battle-hardened team of veterans and one sectoid, that sectoid is going to like run and hide and try and do like pot shots at you. So what does that translate into? It means that if you have one alien that knows it has no chance of taking on your guys, you're going to have to chase them all over the map to try and finally take this thing down. And again, is it optimal play if you tell the AI basically like win at all costs? Yeah, it's 100% like doing the right thing. Is it good for the player? No, that is not a good feature of XCOM in my opinion. And I'm very happy that most modern games at least have the option for that. So I believe a good example of this actually is Old World, where there's a play to win option on it. So if it seems like you're getting really close to winning the game, basically all the other players declare war on you. A bit like what happens if you're playing like a multiplayer 4X game. If it feels like somebody's about to get a victory condition, there's really no... I cannot actually think of a game theoretic reason as to why you would not immediately try to take out the person who's about to win. Like every your do nothing option is you lose. Your I tried and fail option is no worse than your do nothing option, and your success option is you prevent your opponent from winning, and so at least buy yourself enough time to continue. And then of course there's actually an interesting board game built around this called Churchill, where you play the Allied forces, so Russia, the UK, and the US, and it's basically all the conferences that happened during World War II. And the idea here is that you want to advance your own side's interests enough that you win the game. But if you're a hardliner on it and you only do your side's priorities, you can actually lose the war. Like Germany wins World War II in that case. So it's this really interesting kind of game of brinksmanship where you want to make sure that you get, you want to shape the post-war order, right? So like if you're the US, you want the British to dismantle their empire. If you're the British, you want to maintain your empire. If you're the Soviets, you don't want you want more of the other forces to be committed and to sort of let up and put yourself in a position to maybe conquer Europe at the end. But again, if you go too hard, then you just lose. Like if you play to win in like the absolute sense, then you're overtaken by Germany. Like you cannot beat Germany without the three allies doing something. So, and it's not the only game that does that, by the way. But I think like there's a whole series that they have now on Statesman. But I think that's like an interesting example. But again, like the difference here is that that's a board game that's intended to be played with other human beings. And likewise, when you play a 4X game, if you're playing it multiplayer, you're playing it with other human beings that want to win. And so in the case of, again, in the case of XCOM, it's a little bit like if Darkest Dungeon turned around and said, no, 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 I really, the AI is going to get mad if there's an overpowered class. No, who cares? It's a single player game. There can be an overpowered class or an underpowered class. Like, the point of that is just to have fun. If it feels really cool to use the bard or the antiquarian or something, then bring them along. The AI doesn't like turn around and say like, no fair. So yeah, likewise, the sectoid maybe shouldn't like run around the map to try and survive if it means that a 15-minute battle becomes an hour-long battle of like opening all the stockings to see which one has the sectoid in it. So anyways, Valiant Cheese says some component of that is you don't understand your game until you finish making it. Absolutely, yeah. When XCOM was being made, everything was still new and it was harder to see what ended up being friction points. I'm sure they identified and resolved many friction points prior to release, but it also creates new surfaces for friction points to manifest, etc. Yeah, and I mean, this is it. Like, this is one of the reasons why at the start there I say that, all that I'm really saying when I talk about these older games and like the expectations I have going in is that I think game developers have learned things in the intervening years, not least of which because these games had features which, if you were making them today, maybe you wouldn't have them. But I also sort of think, growth is largely about being able to identify these things. And so, again, where I can, like, it's nice to speak constructively rather than, gossip. So I won't maybe mention the broadcast. But, I mean, obviously I hang out with the GOG crowd quite a bit, right? And I do know in that audience, and I mean, I feel like I can say this because it's not a broadcaster that I'm talking about, but having played a couple things on the GOG channel, there are absolutely people who do not ever want you to point out a shortcoming in an old game, and that the argument effectively, or okay, I don't mean to speak on their behalf, but at least as presented to me, the argument seemed to be, you basically need to act as if you are back in like 1991 or whatever, and ignore it's good because it was good in the past. And I don't know, I just sort of feel that I watched The Third Man recently. I really like The Third Man. There may be some things I'd do slightly differently, but for the most part, I actually think The Third Man's a great film, and I would change very little about it. I also know The Third Man would not do very good business as a like brand new movie without its reputation. in theaters today. Um, I would say that's also true about Battle of the Algiers, but Battle of the Algiers did inform a lot of movies that are still made today. So, for instance, Catherine Bigelow, right, who did at the very least Zero Dark 30 and The Hurt Locker, but I'm also thinking, did she do? I'm pretty sure she did House of Dynamite as well. She's taken that as a touchstone for filmmaking. So again, and I mean, I think Christopher Nolan's also cited. I think maybe a couple of the Batman movies were. I know like Heat's the really famous one because of the bank heist. But again, I just sort of feel like you can learn from stuff, you can respect things while also pointing out that there is always room to push out the frontier of what's possible, and that by being able to recognize the shortcomings of things that have well-deserved reputations for being good things are what allow you to go further. And to me, I don't see that as being incompatible with respect for older games, but I do understand that for some people that's a bridge too far. So and sorry, I filibustered, so I'll read Cheese's stuff and then I will continue in at least for a little bit longer in Quest for Glory, but I do need to wrap up reasonably soon. Yeah, that movie's like what is it? Saving Private Ryan for like old people, right? All right, where was I? I remember playing new XCOM for the first time. I got to a point around the middle of the game and had your entire team wiped out instantly by several chrysalids, effectively in one turn, but zombies, and I thought it was scripted. That was my first encounter with them, and some story stuff was meant to be happening on that mission, so I thought it was super bold and impressive, and it's like, it's part of the game that you lose a team here. And then I loaded a save to check and explore and discovered that was not the case and comfortably finished with no losses for a less compelling experience. Yeah, I mean, the other thing that's... I do actually think that is present in the Firaxis XCOM, if I'm not mistaken, because the opening mission forces you to lose a unit. It's more or less its way of saying, this is okay. The thing is, though, I don't think it's ever felt okay to lose a soldier in XCOM. I still feel it. Anyways, sorry. Thank you all for being patient with me. Not in my house, you don't. Okay. I don't have a lot of mana, I don't think. Yeah, 8. So I'm going to try. I don't think this is going to work the way that I thought it did in an afternoon. Welcome auf Zauberberg. Trespassers will be towed. Every muscle in your body is letting you know that this is great exercise. Oh, you again. Here come your questions. What is your name? Cromwell, Elvis's ghost. I am Inigo Montoya. Oh, no. Inigo Montalban? Puddingdame. Ask me again and I'll tell you the same. I am so confused. What is your quest? I want to be a wizard. What is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? So you put some deep thought into that question, eh? The wizard will see you now. Go directly up to the tower. Do not dally. All right, so the hypothesis was I wouldn't do that if I were you. Okay, he's probably gonna kick me out. I'll learn ya. And it took away my magic points. All right, well. So I won't rule out the possibility that what I was talking about before in terms of like trying to get, actually, let's try and make it to town. I won't rule out the possibility of what I was saying earlier in terms of like trying to search the castle. I will say though, I feel like the reasoning that I had before doesn't really apply. Like it's possible that we've exhausted our material with Erasmus. Okay, it wasn't quite what I had in mind. Oh, that's interesting actually. So there is a connection between those two. Could try working the stables again, but probably I wouldn't be able to open the door. I'm going to try the bar first. Yeah, by the way, geez, I think you know this already, but you are welcome to link your stuff if you would like. You slacked off enough? Time to get back to questing? I mean, if you want, Vanguard Master. You pick up the note. You smooth out the piece of paper and read. B, meet me at the archery range as soon as possible. Urgent. Interesting. What do you want? A conversation. Tell me about Crusher. I don't like his personal affairs discussed. My advice is not to do anything that'll get him upset. Sweat. One mug of my fine troll sweat coming up. There you go. Smells like troll sweat. Tastes like troll sweat. By golly, it is troll sweat. And one troll sweat is too many. You regain consciousness. After dusting yourself off, you check to make sure you are still in one piece. Unfortunately, that while you were out, someone managed to relieve you of all your money. Now you'll have to find a way to get some money. The street is not the most comfortable place to sleep, and you have to eat sooner or later. Yeah, I'm not committing to that. Wow! Okay, I am in a little bit of pain. Sorry. Give me a minute. Yeah, just something got loose on my chair, and unfortunately, let me just see if I can fix this. Sorry, I need a minute to ideally I'll sort this out before I go back again. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that. The easy way to explain what happened, the chair's pretty sturdy, but I don't know if it was half pushed in or whatever. But there's basically a section for the chair that should have been much more stable than it was. It went away, causing me to bend parts of myself in directions that they should not bend. And to add insult to injury, as it descended, it basically scraped all along the sort of metal and unpleasant bits. So I'm fine. It's nice to take a beat in a moment like that and not express myself in the terms that I would normally want to in such a moment. All right. Yeah, like I said, that's a lot to lose, so I'm gonna not deal with that. I'm curious if it penalizes me for any. Yeah, at moments like that, it feels like you know why you have toes. Toes apparently are invented to find furniture in the dark. I am tempted to check out the archer. I mean, I've already I've already like reloaded a couple times, so ale, one well-aged house brew coming up. There you go. This tastes as sour as it smells and burns your throat as you swallow it. Still, it isn't the worst beer you've ever drunk. This is a bar. I serve drinks. You want a drink, order one. You want answers to stupid questions, get out. Ale, 1 silver. Troll set, 5 silver. Dragon's Breath, 25 silver. Take your pick. Ale. Good for what ails you. Har har. Troll Sweat will go down real smooth. Dragon's Breath, it's the house specialty. Town. What do you think I am, a guide dog or something? This is the Aces and Eights Tavern, stranger. Alright, I'm getting out of here. So the risk here, of course, is getting shut out as the time passes, but so I think I need to go down 1, left 1, up 1. Yeah, it already sounds like nighttime. This didn't get me anything. The bandit? Yeah. All right. Well, that's fine. I'll. I'm Shema. Allow me to serve you, wanderer from afar. Do you wish for food or drink? Meal. You pay Shema for a meal. I'm trying to remember now what time Abdullah shows up. I bring you that which you ordered. May it please and satisfy you. The food tastes surprisingly good, and the drink is delicious. Permit me to clear the table for you. May you dream of all the rewards you deserve. You thank Shamin and pay him 5 silvers for the room. The sleep heals and refreshes you. I don't think there's much else for me to... I am curious if there's a different conversation now, so... Venture? You'll need to talk to the Baron about that, or go ask Wolfgang down at the Great Hall, or the Guild Hall, which is just down the street. So maybe you're going to be a hero. Well, we could surely use one around here, what with all the brigands. Baron Stefan keeps mostly to himself at his castle north of here. We haven't seen him here in town for years. There's a whole band of brigands hiding out somewhere in the mountains around us. They robbed a merchant just last week. Got a fair amount of treasure, I hear. Obtaining treasure involves putting yourself in danger. If you're brave, foolish, or lucky, you might get some treasure. Okay, I'm going to take a quick minute to go to the Adventurers Guild. I guess the biggest thing here is that the current hypothesis I'm working with is that the daughter is the bandit leader. And the only encounter that I've got with the bandit leader seems to be that rather challenging encounter. Which is fine. I mean, again, I just rely on saves for that. But the one problem here is that it's like, it sounds like the mirror is with the warlock. I don't know of a way to disentangle the warlock from the broader, I don't know, I don't know how to handle. I don't know how to handle them separately. It seems like taking care of one's going to take care of the other. I guess the best I can do is maybe equip myself a little bit better for it. But yeah, let's see. All right. Reward for return of a lost ring. Safe return of Elsa. 30 coins for Brigand Warlock. Short Ugly wears brightly colored robes, has a habit of laughing continually. Spell components needed. Wanted Brigand Leader. And we've already returned the Baronet. But you've already done that. I don't have that much magic for what I'm about to do. Actually, before I do that, I think I want to come appropriately equipped. This is the sign I should be wrapping up soon. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't notice you coming in. You won't be needing your old leather armor anymore. I shall give you a 50 silver trade-in discount. Here you are. Thank you for your patronage. You are now carrying 58 pounds of equipment, supplies, and whatever else you've picked up along the way. Okay, here's what I think I'm going to do. Let's just take a quick look at the... Actually, we have a lot more money than I thought, so I'm going to buy 2 more daggers. Food, flask. Sorry, I'm not really explaining my reasoning here. So, rather than trying to reduce the game down to how many times I can sleep overnight at Arana's Peace, I want to equip myself with at least a couple of items to do the run that I'm going to do without necessarily, like, breaking the bank, let's say. So you return to my shop. Ask what you will, but keep it to the point. Let's do healing, power, vigor. I just blew a lot of money on that, but... Drink burns as it goes down. Alright, I can live with that. Here's what I'm going to do. Oh, I'm going to have to start making some sacrifices. This one gets a 15A for two reasons. One, I'm going to wrap up somewhat soon. But I'd rather not do more. I don't know. I'd rather not do more with the weird colors. There it is in all its glory. But yeah, so at this point here, I mean, there's maybe a couple challenges that I have, which would be, if I'm judging by score, 298 out of 500 seems... I don't know, it definitely feels like I am missing quite a bit to be going to what, on the basis of my map at least, would be, if not the end, really close to it. But that's maybe not like the best, it's maybe not the best reasoning, right? But yeah, at this point, I mean, I'm not super convinced that the answer here is more more potions. I'm really getting that just so I don't have to go back to town. But basically, the logic here is... I think the logic here is that I know there's something... Sorry, everything that I have seen up to this point tells me I need some kind of encounter with the bandits. In fact, I would go so far as to say all the stuff that the game's pointing me to right now would be encounters with the bandits. You see the bush that conceals the secret entrance. Right then. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see how a quick round of this goes. You hear the snick as the hasp on the gate is opened. Haha! The day is my... Oh, crap. You feel a tripwire. Why, those sneaky brigands. Now that you know it's there, you can easily step over it. Alright, so this is the part that got a little weird. So I do have an idea about this based off of what happened with my armor. So we're at 56 health. I do want to see what it takes me without using the without using the dazzle. You feel a tripwire. Why, those sneaky brigands? Now that you know that it's there, you can easily step over it. Okay. Go! The rug is too big to put into your backpack and too heavy to carry around. You do notice a pit trap under the spread out carpet. Haha, sneaky brigands. Yeah, so far, that doesn't seem to... Okay, 2 of those have hit me. Okay, so yes, it does do damage. It is not guaranteed. Okay, so arguably this is the pain point, but I'm gonna try something a little different this time. I'm gonna walk in. So we've got some ne'er-do-wells showing up here. So if I do the magic, that did nothing. So this is the part that weirds me out a little bit. There doesn't seem to be... Like, so the game is encouraging me to perform this action, but it kills me to do that. You better find a way to prevent the brigands from getting at you from all sides if you want to survive this. And that's the part where this gets fun. So, I mean, I could try closing the... Oh, yeah. You close and bar the door. All right. You move the chair in front of the door. You begin toppling the candelabra. You leave the rope alone for now. It's serving a very important function by holding up the chandelier. That's not encouraging. 1 peek is worth 2 finesses. Maybe letting the brigands see you block the door with the chair wasn't a good idea. Okay. You close and bar the door. Wooden tables, benches, and chairs fill space in the brigand meeting area. A chandelier lights the room, and an unlit candelabra stands in the corner. A rope hangs from the chandelier. Yeah, that doesn't work. Okay. Yeah, so they're gonna see me, which... Oh, I think I have the idea. Have a good one, Mr. On Histron. Huh. Weird. Okay. Wooden tables, benches, and chairs fill space in this brigand meeting area. A chandelier lights the room, and an unlit candelabra stands in the corner. A rope hangs from the chandelier. So, it reminds you of a bunch of Cockling cops. Move the chair in front of the door. I mean, that's slightly more encouraging. Oh, no. These guys look familiar. You're hopelessly surrounded. You should have stopped those brigands somehow. And that would be where we use the... Okay, no, I get the idea now. So, close. Huh, timing is everything. Oops, who would have thought those guys that looks that stupid could figure out to go around the table before they ran all the way up to the fallen candelabra. I'm not 100% sure what went wrong there, but... Oop. I don't know if I want to, like, save at each phase of this, but... may not hurt. I don't think this is gonna go well for me. Woo woo woo, rough rough rough. You are hopelessly surrounded. You should have taken quicker action against those knuckle cops. Evaluate your thoughts to a higher plane. Okay, well, I mean, I think it's pretty clear what they want me to... I was near certain that it was directing me towards doing something with the, Yeah, that's not gonna work. Well, I'm done. That did nothing. Yeah, the R of peace and tranquility probably isn't. I mean, it's too late on this point, but huh. Yeah, so I mean, this is the thing that kind of gets me here. So it says, leave the rope alone for now. It's serving a very important function by holding up the chandelier. Now, to me, it's like, drop the chandelier on them, or, like, do something, right? I think that's kind of the mental rut that I've gotten myself sort of locked into. The secondary problem that I have is that I think if I try and move through here, right, that's on a collision course for the Stooges, so that's not going to help. I don't seem to be able to move the chair, so that's not going to help. And I had originally thought that maybe, I don't know, like maybe magic would have solve this for me. I am at the 3.5 hour mark, so like I'm sort of okay to say we'll save this for the next time, but I don't know. I'm not quite ready to give up yet. I just need to a minute to sort of think. Oh man, is it something as easy as like a rock? If it is... Okay, you are hopelessly surrounded. You should have taken quicker action against these Knucklecops. Evaluate your thoughts to a higher plane, which again, to me, says chandelier. But it's like again, if I keep trying to do the same thing over and over again, like I'm gonna get the same dumb results. Like it's not worth like what I want to do here, because it's time sensitive. I've got a rope that it says timing is important for. I've got a chandelier which I don't seem to be able to I mean, I have an idea. Like, I'm assuming I can't flip this table. Are you kidding me? Okay, that's... I was thinking is like, I don't know, flip the table to block them, but that actually introduced something new. Okay, dry, knock off and grab you off the table. Should have waited until they were out of reach. Yeah, I mean, like, fair enough. It's definitely an action I didn't think I could do, so... Haha, the day is mine. Okay, that is actually kind of fun. No, that less good. You need to guard your flags before a frontal assault is possible. Okay, like, that's obviously progress. No time for that again, although it was fun. Just get the heck out of here. Oh, okay. It's easy as that. You bar the door behind you. I mean, at this point, I should probably just give this... I should probably just give this its own number. Okay. You behold a most fascinating place. The person labeled me speaks. Abandon mope, all ye who enter here. Job hunting or just sightseeing? I foresee a brilliant future for you in the fall. If you've got something to say, then speak fast or forever hold your peaces. State your case before I case your estate. Ask about Yorick. You know me? Then perhaps you have come to help. Perhaps you are able to take the child from the band. Sounds good. Alas, poor Yorick, I know me well. 10 years ago, I swore I would find Elsa no matter what. It took me 2 years to find her here with the brigands, and I've posed as her warlock ever since. I couldn't break the spell on her, nor could I leave her to grow up into an attractive woman surrounded by rogues and scoundrels. Someone had to defend her honor. You know Elsa? Then perhaps you have come to help. Perhaps you are able to take the child from the band. After you have explained what you know about Elsa, Yorick speaks. This conversation is very different if you have to type your question. So the warlock is most likely Yorick, but whether or not I've identified that this character is the warlock, I guess, is the question. It's about time that someone else helped Elsa before it's too late. Toro and I are the only friends she's got here. She's a lot like her dad, though. She organized these brigands and changed them from mere thugs into major raiders. She plans to move the entire band away from the valley as soon as the snow clears. If that happens, I know she'll never be disenchanted. Oh, of course, now the stream's coming back. All right. I've saved the game. I mean, this isn't a terrible place to like wrap it up. So thank you everybody for watching. I'm guessing just based on the number of things required for the curse, we'll probably finish this in the next run. But I don't know if that'll be Friday or next Monday. Anyways, Enjoy Revive Snow, who is playing the first Descendant, which I think is basically a game with a bunch of women who are in outfits that look like somebody put it together with like two eye patches and a slingshot. So have fun.